Hi guys, and welcome back to Rachel's Enchanting Cakes. Now today I'm going to show you how to do this gravity defying unicorn cake. I actually show you how to make this internal support. This is the first time I myself have ever done anything like this. I have cut it all down myself, measured it all myself. Nobody's done anything for me. It's my first time, so if I can do it, you guys can. I take you through everything you need to know. The only thing in this tutorial that is very fast is making the horn, the eyes, the ears, and just adding the buttercream, because it's a basic unicorn cake and I assumed most people would already be aware of how to do that, but you still see me make them. Give it a go, guys, and if you like what you see, please subscribe to the channel, share with your friends, and I will be back soon with an awful lot more new content. The first thing we need to do is actually create the internal support for the cake. Please don't be intimidated by what you see on here. I have cut out all of these shapes myself. I have even drilled the holes. I have never done anything like this before in my career as a cake decorator. What you are seeing here has been done for the very first time, and if I can do it, so can you. I'm just going to go through what I have here, and then I have a speeded up video where you can physically watch me cut everything, drill everything. It's only about a minute long, and I'm going to put it on straight after this. So you want to start off with a 14-inch square cake drum. Now I'm just going to turn this round to the back. Here, all I have done is drawn the 8-inch cake drum that I have here in the centre. And to do that, if you just measure 7 inches up and 7 inches across, and then you can roughly place it in the middle. It doesn't have to be spot on. The hole that I have drilled here is roughly just 1 centimetre away. You just need a rough guide to start off with. Under here I then have 3 pieces of plywood that have all been cut out to the same size of this, which you will see in the video that follows, and they also have a hole in the exact same place as this. I must point out the holes in the bottom 2 pieces of the plywood are actually larger, and you will need a different drill bit to do that. The reason for this is so that they can fit the washer in, we'll go through this in a bit, and a nut, but the board will still actually remain nice and level when it hits the floor. You'll understand when we start putting it all together. Again here, simple pieces. I just have an 8-inch round cake drum, another hole drilled in there roughly 1 centimetre in, and as you can see, a piece of plywood also with a hole, because they're going to be going on top of each other like so. This is called an awl thread. Now I am in the UK. If I just hold this up to the camera, you will see the spiral indentations on there. This means we're able to add the lock nut and the washer and put everything together. We are going to be making this food grade later, because it isn't food grade because it's not specifically made for cakes. But in the UK it's called an awl thread. I then have 4 nuts, 4 washers and a spanner. This awl thread is 12 millimetres. You can choose any size that you want, any thickness you want. So your washers and your nuts need to match the size of the awl thread. I have some kitchen foil which I'm going to be using to help make part of this food grade. And finally, you can use any type of glue that you want. None of this is going to be going anywhere near the actual cake. It's for the wood and the base of the cake drums, just to stick them together. I will now show you the video on how to cut out all of these. First thing we need to start assembling is the base. So turn the cake drum upside down and taking your glue, simply add a small amount. Taking one of your pieces of plywood, align that up with the hole that you have already created. Repeat that step for the other two pieces of plywood. These now want to actually be weighted down. So I have just got, you can use some books. I've got some icing sugar that hasn't been opened and I'm just going to place that on top. We want to now repeat that step, but this time with the 8-inch round cake drum and the plywood. Again, we're now going to weight this down. We're going to start now with the awl thread. So first of all, we need to get one of these on the end, and it can be quite fiddly. So take one of your nuts and take your time screwing it on. Then we want a washer. Now that is what is going to be going through this hole here. Ideally, you should really let the glue set. But if these boards need to be moved slightly, remember I've never done this before. You will have noticed my plywood isn't perfectly cut to shape. It's the first time I've ever cut it myself. I'm not used to using a drill, especially with those sorts of drill bits. So I want to place it in there now, just to make sure it does actually fit. So I've been thinking about this. I'm going to slide it off my surface just so I can see the hole. I can't put the icing sugar on, otherwise you will not be able to actually see what I am doing. Whew, it's worked. See what I mean, guys? Right, now I need to gently turn it over and place it on my work surface. We'll pop that on top. Whew, and breathe a sigh of relief. Now obviously this is going to be wobbly, and that's because you then need another washer all the way to your drum, and this is going to be the fiddly bit, or the time consuming bit. Once this gets to the bottom, we're then going to be tightening it up with a spanner. Tighten it up with my fingers first before I use the spanner. Make sure you hold the awl thread, otherwise both will just be moving. So for this part, it's really simple. Again, you want one of your nuts. Let's try it just there. So if I just move the Nutella out of the way, you then want to place on a washer. That looks about right to me. Now my cakes are normally 4-inch deep, so that should be just right. So then you want another washer, and then you want to apply your final lock. That is our sturdy cake support. Now all of this glue needs to be left to dry overnight before we can actually start assembling our cake. But this is 750 grams. Just take that off. This is 3 kilograms. So like I said, just leave this to set overnight, and tomorrow we're going to start assembling our gravity-defying unicorn cake. Now all you need to do is add the kitchen foil to the base part of the rod to make it food grade. But on the top here, I've actually added cling film just because that's where the cake's going to be going. I'm just going to pull this a bit further towards me, that way. And we're going to start adding the cake. Now I've got a delicious 8-inch Victoria sponge recipe that I will leave a link to for you on the description below this video. I've levelled both of these cakes, and we're going to start by applying some buttercream. Now just pick up one piece of cake. I'm actually going to turn this around now, just so I can see it much better. This rod is now facing me. Try and align it with the base. Now you want to apply more buttercream. So we're going to start by applying a rim. Taking any flavoured jam that you prefer, simply fill the centre of the rim. Taking your buttercream, now cover the remaining area just on top of the jam. I'm now going to place this in the fridge just because it is quite warm here today. Let this buttercream set for about 15 minutes before applying the top layer and then completely crumb coating the cake. I have just taken this out of the fridge and now we're going to add our second layer of cake. Just to make this slightly easier to crumb coat, I've added a little bit of buttercream again to another piping bag, and I'm just going to start going around the outside. I'm going to completely cover this and then place this back in the fridge, but this time for about 30 to 45 minutes before we apply our first layer of fondant. Once you've crumb coated your cake, this is the sort of thing you are aiming to achieve. We're now going to cover this with 900 grams of fondant. I've rolled out extra this time because we also need to cover the drum. Just lift up the fondant onto your rolling pin. This is getting a bit sticky because it's come directly out of the fridge. I'm going to use some icing sugar, kneading it all up using my smoothers and my hands and trim off any excess. So my flying unicorn is going to look like he's in the sky, and I want to make this cake drum look like clouds along with what's actually supporting it. Very simple process. I'm going to go through these quite fast because you've learned how to make your internal support now. I've shown you how to cover the cake. Most of you may have already decorated a unicorn cake, so now you can just go on and do your own thing. But if you never have, this is a quick rundown on how to do it. All I have here is some cooled down boiled water, which is going to act like a natural glue. All I'm going to do is roll pieces of fondant. I will be needing more than this. You could use Rice Krispie treats if you wanted to as well, into random shapes and place them on here. Now it doesn't look like much yet, but I guarantee you it slowly will start to come to shape. Now as you can see, I've just continued to roll out those fondant balls. All I've done to the old thread is literally grabbed fondant, I've not rolled any out, put it on there, shaped it with my hands and then added more balls. But we can add some more later, and you can also add some little balls to the top of this layer of fondant. Now I have rolled out 1.2 kilograms for this board. It's normally 1 kilogram of fondant for a 14-inch square, but I need a little bit extra to take into account the fact that I'm covering these clouds. Now when we get to this part at the back, we need the fondant to be flexible. So if you just cut a line just there, it will help you. Now, ideally, we want to be going the other way around, but this is going to be quite difficult. I'm going to have to use my hand and the rolling pin. So here, all I've done is added some extra balls. Now I can understand this tutorial is getting quite long, so I'm going to cut it down as much as possible now. All I'm going to be doing with this is turning it into a unicorn cake. Now if you've never made one before, I like to support the hone using the cake down, so this will be going into the centre of the cake. I'm going to put some turquoise blue just around it, just using my fingers to shape it. A Dresden tool to add some indentations, and then I'm choosing to use some food contact glitter just to make it look beautiful. I shall be using the jet black for the eyes. That's just a case of rolling a sausage shape in your fingers and putting them in a nice oval just on there with a few eyelashes. Very, very simple cakes, but effective to make. The ears, you just want 2 round circle cutters. You want to cut 1 white and 1 blue. The blue one needs to be slightly smaller. You then cut them in half. Add the blue part to the white. I shall be doing all of this on camera but not talking whilst I'm doing it, just so you can see how to do it. Add the blue to the white with some edible glue, and then you just bend it slightly and you've got a lovely ear shape. I'm going to make a start on the wings. I have just cut out one shape here. If I just hold it towards the back of the cake, that's the sort of effect we're going for. It's wafer paper this, so it won't go brittle. It's not an edible icing sheet, but it's not heavy, so it's not going to fall off. And we're going to be cutting out a few of those, and then I'm choosing to use these edible petal dusts, just in case you've got children there and they want to eat the wings, just add a little bit more definition. So let's make a start. I'm going to do a wing for the other side. So if that's going like that, I'm going to flip it round, place it on there, and then using a non-toxic pencil, I'm just going to trace around what I've already cut. So now we have 2 wings. Now I could just leave it at that, but I think we'll add more definition if we had a slightly smaller one inside. I'm going to have 3 for each wing, so repeat that process and then I shall show you what we're going to be doing with the edible tinted dust. So I've finished cutting out my wings. Here I have a petal blue by Sugar Flare and dusky pink, they're both completely edible. So I'm not sure if I'm going to use both colours yet, because like I said, I want my unicorn to be blue. I'm thinking about the sky, the clouds. I'm going to take my biggest wing first. If you just take some of your petal dust onto a dry brush first and put some on a kitchen towel, it won't be as potent then, and just dab it onto your wafer paper. Remember, wafer paper does dry out just like fondant. I just don't want it sticking to the board. And try and align this one with the one that you've already placed on there. Those are the beautiful wings. How amazing does he look? Now I'm sorry I've had to rush through the unicorn horn, the ears, the eyes, etc. But I have to try my best to keep these tutorials as short as possible but still get everything in there. So, finishing touches. Now on the unicorn cakes we always have buttercream. Now here I just have a piping bag with white buttercream, and it is a pastel purple, it's not too in your face. And the same here, one with white and blue. These are the Wilton 2D piping nozzles that I am using. Now this is on my turntable just so I can put him slightly at an angle. Well, it's going to be coming up here around the horns and down the back, but you can add as much buttercream as you want. So with the 2D, you can push and pull and have that lovely shape. Or you can also do a little swirl. I love the swirls because they're really, really pretty. Now, I've got a thing about things being symmetrical. I can't help it. So keep on switching your colours over and cover your gorgeous unicorn cake in whatever colours you want, whatever shapes you want. Just go crazy. swizzle this round. That's what you can see what I've done to the back. And whilst he's just facing that way, I'm going to add a little bit more to the front. Perfect. So if I just swirl that back. So the final finishing touches that I want to add to this. You don't have to do this. This is by Claire Bowman and it's a completely edible luster dust, but it comes in a lovely pump. I'm just going to come to the front of the cake. That way you can see. This might not pick up on camera, but it will definitely pick up on the photos. It just adds a beautiful, pretty shimmer. I want some of the clouds on the base. Remember what I said about it being completely edible as well. It's not like the food contact glitter we've used on the horns. Beautiful. Now I've got a thing for sprinkles at the moment. I think I might have to bring him, no, backwards, for you to be able to see more of the board. Sprinklette. All I'm going to do, this is the unicorn sprinklette that I have used in previous tutorials, just because I absolutely love my sprinkles. No glue this time. Yes, they're going to go everywhere. I just want them on my cake drum, because you can't beat a few sprinkles. This was a challenging one. I wasn't sure if it would work, but it did. This is my version of a flying unicorn cake. I have had to speed up an awful lot in regards to the decoration process, but it is a very simple cake to decorate. I still guide you through things. It's just a case of the buttercream, the eyes and the horn. Overall, I am really impressed. If we give him a little twirl, I love the back. You see how it cascades down the back. I've added some sprinkles to the board, some luster dust, just to give it that extra perfect finish. It's getting very warm here today. I hope you all give it a go. I hope I've encouraged you again to try something just that little bit different, because it's the first time that I personally have ever used this sort of support structure, making it from scratch. Give it a go, guys. I'll be back soon with more new content.